Exploitation Section. Exhibitors Trade Review. August 26, 1922. Front of the Empress Theater, Oklahoma City, decorated for First National's Rose of the Sea. Living up to the title of the picture in his frontal display, manager Abe Levy of the Strand, Waco, Texas, made an imperative call to a public suffering in the swelter of a sizzling spell when he played First National's The Silent Call. The snow scene, reproduced in cutout, has that effectiveness that comes of simplicity of treatment. The snow-tipped spruces and the drifts banked against a winter moon had a lure that showed itself on the balance sheets. Novelty is the life's breath of the ballyhoo. The cost of it is often daring, and always some dash. An approach to the ultimate in automobile decoration was made by manager Fleming of the TD&L Pasadena Theater, Pasadena, in his ballyhoo for First National's The Crossroads of New York. No difficulty is experienced in recognizing novelty in the bathtub idea used for Paramount's Saturday Night by the Illinois Theater, Centralia, Illinois. There is attraction value here. The igloo box office effect with the strip of snow scenes above the entrance was the decoration for the Pathé production Nanook of the North at the Palace Theater, Philadelphia. Enlarged scenes from the film were hung in the door panels. In announcing Goldwyn's The Girl with the Jazz Heart from the front of the Rialto, the management set it with hearts, cut from paper and fastened to mesh wire, which was strung over a light frame above the entrance. In the lobby, a phonograph with one of those shimmying dolls was kept playing jazz music. The display designed by the Columbia Theater, Seattle, for the Universal feature The Trap combined nicely pictorial value and the atmosphere of the great outdoors. The sidewalls, doors, and ticket booth were covered with cutouts. A lobby display that drew the crowds was contrived by R.R. Russell for the run of Paramount's Across the Continent. This consisted of a miniature race course showing 4 automobiles constantly in motion against a background of a map of the states, with the course from New York to Los Angeles clearly defined. The mechanical arrangement was fairly simple. 4 belts run over pulleys of wood were driven by a small electric motor. 2 small racing cars of cutout board were fastened to each belt so that a race was on at all times. The belts were timed so that the car representing the famous Dent, whose driver was represented by a small cutout of Wallace Reed, passed all the others just before making its disappearance behind the scenes at the end of the course. The exploitation also included a street ballyhoo of a Ford wearing the makeup of the Dent in the picture, and bearing a sign identifying it. The masquerader seems to call for ballyhoo, and the opportunity for street stunts is being taken hold of in great shape by theaters playing the new First National production. At St. Paul, a first cousin to the old raffle stunt made its appearance when the Capitol Theater sent out a big touring car with a masked fashion plate on the rear seat. On the side of the car was a sign bearing the question, "Who is the masquerader?" The ballyhoo attracted attention in the streets, and was written up in the newspapers, thus proving altogether successful. At the State Theater, Minneapolis, the manager centered his exploitation around the staff of the theater itself. The usherettes, dressed in hussar outfits, were masked, and patrons were asked to vote the beauty prize to their favorites. This stunt is reported to have gained considerable word-of-mouth publicity, each visitor to the theater increasing the circulation value of the advertising. The Hope Theater's automobile ballyhoo has become a familiar sight in the streets of Dallas, and the interest is maintained by radical changes of style in the displays used. For First National's The Woman He Married, the management used a cutout large enough to dwarf the car and produce an effect that compelled attention. The management of the Criterion, Atlanta, Georgia, contrived a suggestion of the oil fields for the front of the theater during the run of First National's Gas, Oil, and Water. Cutouts pasted up on compo board and 24 sheet over the entrance produced a good flash. There is always room for one more ballyhoo at Coney Island, so the management of Henderson's Theatre sent out a jaunting car well signed up for Vitagraph's My Wild Irish Rose. This feature of a campaign that included window displays and other mediums was the center of a lot of the interest of which visitors to Coney Island seemed to give with such prodigality. A flash that just had to be noticed used at the Tivoli, Chattanooga, for the Selznick feature reported missing as advance advertising. Hand-painted 3-sheets made up a stand used in the lobby of the Princess Theater, Sioux City, for advance announcement of Norma Talmadge in Smilin' Through. Posters announcing the limited engagement of First National's My Boy displayed in the lobby of the Apollo Theater, New York City. The Apollo, in addition, played up a puzzle contest arranged as advance advertising. Frieze mounted over the entrance inside the Howard Theater, Atlanta, for Paramount's Her Husband's Trademark. The ballyhoo of 18 flashily uniformed men who paraded Broadway for Metro's The Prisoner of Zenda, playing at the Astor Theater. Busloads of children on their way from orphan asylums to the Criterion to see Forget-Me-Not. The lobby affords an advantageous setting for advance billing. The illustrations above show how effectively cutouts were used for Paramount's The Beauty Shop in the Central Theater, Jersey City, Beyond the Rocks, Henderson's Theater, Coney Island, and The Bachelor Daddy at the Central. One big tie-up was not enough for manager Frank Steffi of the Coliseum, Seattle, in his campaign for First National's Trouble, so he kept at it until he effected several. The big features of the exploitation was a tie-up with the Seaboard National Bank, which showed photographs of Jackie Coogan in its window, and a card reading, "Jackie Coogan, 7-year-old star of Trouble, has a savings account of $60,000. What are you doing for your boy's future?" Another stunt that created a big stir was the tie-up with the Lifesaver Candy representative, in which an 8-year-old boy impersonated Jackie and distributed 25,000 sample packages. Carrying a tray with a sign reading, "I'm in trouble," the boy was the center of attention.